$4 million per Bitcoin. Not my guess, but the results of a recent study asking 42 cryptocurrency experts what the price of Bitcoin would be in 2030. $4 million. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I am once again starting to dollar cost average and buy the dips on Bitcoin. I'm going to look at the chart, tell you why, and also review all the news that's driving markets today. Let's go. What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and tap, smash, hit, pound, whatever you want to do with that like button, that thumbs up right down below. Apparently, it helps the algorithm get people to watch my oh so very important videos. So I thank you for hitting that like button every single time that you guys do it. Now, as I mentioned, there's a recent study that says by 2030, the price of Bitcoin will be $4 million. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but more importantly, I'm going to tell you why I've started buying Bitcoin again here. Now, as you know, I bought the dip all the way down from the 50,000s to 30,000. I believe in dollar cost averaging, buying dips, because I have a very long-term focus as a Bitcoin investor. These are not trades. They are buys with the assumption that Bitcoin will be at least six figures in the future. And I have quite a bit of patience. But I did stop after those buys filled in May all the way down to 30,000. Well, now I'm starting to buy again. I think that the bottom could be close. Do I know that that's true? No, I would not be surprised at all to see price drop further. But once again, I'm starting to deploy funds buying Bitcoin today just above 31,000. Again, for me, this is a form of buying the dip, dollar cost averaging with a long-term focus. But it is interesting because I posted that I bought Bitcoin on Twitter and the responses were insanely angry. People are once again extremely bearish at support while price chops sideways. Very little has happened and people are still getting angrier and angrier. To me, that tends to be a signal that at least a local bottom is near and I'm willing to start deploying capital once again. So let's take a look at the chart and see what is going on. I can promise you it's very little. First, let's take a look at coin market cap. You can see markets are flat. Bitcoin down 0.09%, Ethereum 1%, everything basically within 2 or 3% or completely flat. Not much to see here at all. So why are people so angry? It's because people are generally impatient and they want to see results now. Well, that's just not the kind of market that we are in at the moment. But as I said, we've seen people starting to get euphoric when price goes up, and then they get very bearish when price goes down, even if they're small moves and it's right at resistance and support. In my mind, we've been looking at the B bands. Listen, it's not an indicator that I've used a lot in the past, but it's fun to look at, and I've been looking at it lately. You can see we're right at the bottom band with two wicks down, potential tweezer bottoms here. This could be a daily reversal candle, but we've still got 10 hours left as I'm recording this. But this is at support, right? This whole area, 31,000, has been support this entire time. And each weekend, we've kind of seen price start to float up through Sunday and close back above 34,000. We've had 8 weekly candles float up basically on the weekend and close above 34,000. We've been in this same situation almost every week. Doesn't mean it'll happen this week, but I will be watching to see if that happens. The bands here are very tight. I'm expecting volatility to come in the coming weeks for sure, but we could just keep on ranging through the summer. But this does not look bad. We are sitting near support with wicks down, potentially bullish candles for a potential reversal. It does look like it could be a bottom. Now, taking the 4 hour, you can see 31,107, very strong support throughout. If you go out on the daily, you can see that we've not closed candles below that. So that's much more interesting on the daily even than on the 4 hour. But when you look at it here on the 4 hour, I talked about this yesterday. Price was up here. I said, I'm expecting to drop down here, make a perfect channel, hit this as support, and bounce. And that's exactly what's happened. We now have a perfect descending channel. Up, down, up, down. We are at support, horizontal confluence with the descending support. So I expect to at least come up to the EQ, 32,700, something like that. But ultimately, a descending channel should break to the upside. Like I said, would more downside surprise me? No. But in the long term, do I think that 31,000 Bitcoin is insanely cheap? Yes. The answer is yes. And as you can see here, although it's over a very long time period, the 12 hour is showing potential bullish divergence. Longer than I would like to trade, but if you zoom into the 6 hour, you can see we've had very clear bullish divergence here and here with price rising. Very easy. Higher lows, lower lows on price. So I do believe that we are ripe for a bounce here, and as I've said, the last few weekends, price has floated up. I like that. Now, let's dig into this crazy prediction that Bitcoin will be $4 million by 2030. Now, believe me, I think that is hyperbolic, but it's based on a study from 42 cryptocurrency experts, and they took a survey of all of them and took the averages. They asked a lot of other questions as well, and there's some very big names who were polled. So let's take a look at the very quick hits, okay? 61% say Bitcoin is currently undervalued, and on average, Bitcoin to end 2021 at 66,284. That seems very reasonable. I think that all of us think that if you look at on-chain metrics at all, if you look at the level of adoption, that Bitcoin currently is undervalued and is being pushed down largely by fear. Panelists predict that by December 2030, the price of Bitcoin will go up to a whopping $4,287,591 per Bitcoin. However, the average is skewed by outliers. There's some people who made humongous predictions and drove the average up. The median price prediction is $470,000 by 2030. I think that we can all agree that that's a very likely and reasonable target. Now, according to 54%, Bitcoin will be the dominant force in global finance by 2050. I think that's an overestimation, in my opinion, but you love to see it. You love to see that people believe that there could be a Bitcoin standard in the next 30 years. Importantly, that's a 30-year time horizon. So many people here in this community view Bitcoin as a get-rich-quick scheme, something that they should be trading aggressively, that they should be rich in 6 months or a year, and it's failed if it hasn't. If you really understand that this is a paradigm shift, and paradigm shifts take decades, then you understand that you can start looking at 2040, 2050 as targets for these insane prices and for true adoption. That's how I view it, and I believe that that's how people who want to get truly wealthy should view this market. On to some more news. Bank of America approves Bitcoin futures trading for some clients. Clients are in the process of being set up, with some already live, according to one of two sources. I believe Bank of America is the second largest bank in the country. This is more mainstream adoption, more banks capitulating who in the past said no to Bitcoin, who are now allowing their wealthier clients, of course, access. But they've opened futures trading for some clients. Absolutely huge. The banks are all coming, whether they like it or not. Now, the next story is the BlackRock CEO saying that he's seeing no demand for Bitcoin and crypto. Let's take a look at his video.
In the past, you've asked me about crypto and Bitcoin. Again, in my last 2 weeks of business travel, not one question been asked about that. That is just not part of the focus on retirement and long-term investors. And we see very little in terms of investor demand on those types of things. But quite frankly, they may not come to BlackRock for that type of demand. But I would say for all the pension funds and the insurance companies, for all the RIAs that we're talking to for their clients on behalf of their retirement, the dialogue is about how should I navigate my portfolio and how should I think about my portfolio over a long horizon.
Really interesting here, because there's been a lot of flip-flopping among people at BlackRock. He's saying that he's not seeing interest among their clients, particularly institutional. But of note, BlackRock is one of the largest holders in MicroStrategy stock, meaning that they're effectively holding a stock that acts like a Bitcoin ETF, not exactly in line with what he's saying here. They own, I believe, over 16% of MicroStrategy, and they have not sold that position, as Michael Saylor has made it clear that MicroStrategy is effectively a Bitcoin holding company. Now, once again, when I see the CEOs of these companies talk like this, I know that they're probably saying the opposite of what they're actually seeing and what they actually mean. Nobody is buying it. We know that you're flooding the market because your clients and yourself have been buying lower. Now, in the next story, Jack Dorsey saying that Square is creating a new business focused on building an open developer platform with the sole goal of making it easy to create non-custodial, permissionless, and decentralized financial services. Our primary focus is Bitcoin. Its name is TBD. I think maybe TBD is a bad name. Means to be determined. Yes, the name is to be determined, but what's important here is he goes on a whole thread on why Bitcoin is important and why they are going to build open source platforms, allowing everybody to participate. Absolutely huge move from Jack Dorsey, who we know is a huge proponent of Bitcoin. Next story, Republican senator highlights Bitcoin's battle in shedding criminal baggage. Senator Chuck Grassley is using deeply flawed estimates of illicit Bitcoin activity to call for closer scrutiny of the industry, according to multiple crypto intelligence firms. The dude is spouting off a bunch of fake news about criminal use of Bitcoin. He said that over 50% of the network is being used for illicit activity. I don't know why facts are so hard for these old people. Maybe he's senile, or maybe he's just afraid of an asset that is a threat to the legacy systems that he holds so dearly and is trying to protect. The fact is, we are hearing the words Bitcoin and cryptocurrency mentioned by the most powerful people in the United States. The Fed chairman was forced to talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It doesn't matter what they say. It matters that they're talking about it. We know that we are now on the agenda, that we are now mainstream, and we know that nobody is buying bullcrap stories like this. Now the next one, China's digital yuan trial reaches 5.3 billion in transactions. Notable, there are a whole lot of people using the digital yuan. Near 21 million individuals have virtual wallets. We know that money is going digital everywhere in the world and that China is leading the charge for a central bank digital currency. The problem with that, it eliminates all privacy for the individual using that central bank digital currency. Jerome Powell just the other day, Fed chairman, said, once we have a digital dollar, there'll be no use for private cryptocurrencies. Yeah, no use for the government that wants to control the monetary supply and know every transaction you do in your life, but very, very useful for a private citizen who wants the government out of their pockets and their wallets. Finally, there's a video going around on Twitter that I shared. I don't know if it's factually from China, but it shows a bulldozer absolutely destroying a lot of ASICs, a lot of Bitcoin mining gear. Whether this is in China or not, we do know that China has shut down Bitcoin mining, a multi-trillion-dollar mistake. They could have controlled the entire network. Instead, they're missing the forest through the trees and just absolutely destroying the mining network in China. For me, I would say that this is a minor problem and they'll come back online. You know, it seems that really the dreams of Chinese miners have been crushed. Chinese mining hash rate has been flattened. Thank you. Those are all my dad jokes for today. I will be live streaming today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time alongside two friends, Big Cheds and Crypto Burb. We're going to talk about the markets. It's going to be a lot of fun to catch up with these two guys. I absolutely love them. Excited to talk to them. And I think that you should absolutely check that out. Now, please subscribe to the newsletter down in the description. Check out my amazing sponsor, Femex, and everything else I have going on down there. Once again, see you guys at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live stream with Big Cheds and Crypto Burb. Peace.